You are now live with Dylan Kimlin.
Hello everyone, this is Dylan Kimlin and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today's video we're going to take a look at some big news regarding the international pickleball scene. Some pretty big announcements regarding the Australian-New Zealand space and just an episode on how we might be affected as a result. Before we dive into it, if you haven't yet, please follow us on social media. Plenty of pickleball news coming your way. Obviously, 2026 is going to be packed, and following the socials just means you are kept in the loop, as well as please remember to follow our international bodies that I will be discussing today. So the main two groups will be the GPF, or the Global Pickleball Federation, as well as the United World Pickleball Federation. Lots of acronyms for you today. Our t-shirt time. I am rocking my Pickleball Queensland and Pickleball Australia 2023 Queensland Pickleball Championships top. So I'm obviously someone who played and tournament directed in a ton of tournaments. I always like to wear the uniforms when I'm going. Doesn't matter what sport I play. I play paddle and I still wear my pickleball uniforms and cop so much cheek from the players, but I'm going to rep pickleball wherever I am. So let's dive into it now. I'm going to say there is an overwhelming number of players in the Australian scene that don't actually know what's going on in international pickleball from a international body perspective. Obviously, we all know what's going on. Well, not all of us, but a lot of us keep up with the pros over in the States or maybe in Asia. But what's actually happening from almost like an Olympic level. Okay, so here in Australia and New Zealand for our Kiwi viewers, and I always try and keep my news relevant for the Kiwis as well, to the point that I actually do have a statement from the New Zealand space in this episode as well. So we fall under what is called the GPF. So that is the Global Pickleball Federation. And in the international space at the moment, well, in pickleball in general, let's be honest, it's a little bit of the Wild West. We are seeing that in multiple facets. For instance, our professional leagues, we have so many leagues. There's not like here in Australia, right? We have the AFL or the NRL or, netball. There's not multiple leagues. Where in pickleball, we've got two major groups vying for it. We see this in the States as well with the APP and the PPA/MLPA. So pickleball's in a little bit of a weird spot in that we're still figuring out, who has control of various things. And we are seeing this not just with us and the States, but India, for example, has a ton of professional leagues. We've got the rise of the Chinese pickleball space, the rise of Vietnam. And as a casual player, it can be very confusing trying to keep up with all of these acronyms. I'm in the loop and I still get confused. So believe me when I say it can be a little bit tough to keep up to date with it all. But the long and short of it is that here in Australia and New Zealand, we fall under the GPF, whereas groups like Pickleball England, Pickleball France, they might fall under the WPF. Okay. Now, this video is about a topic in that both of these massive international bodies have agreed to come together to potentially have discussions, or at least start discussions, and hopefully the end result is an international body. This is big. Obviously, we would all love to see pickleball in the Olympics. I don't believe we're going to get the 20 to 32s. I live in Brisbane in Australia. Seeing the Olympics in Australia would be so good. Like, you have no idea. Not only from a commentary perspective, because I imagine they would want local representation, but just to see our players out there representing Australia potentially for an Olympic medal is like, yeah, it would make me feel so happy. It would warm my soul to see that. But we can't get any of that done until we have a international body that's recognized by the IOC, as well as having an international body that is universally recognized actually greatly benefits the Australian pickleball scene, and I will look into it towards the end of this episode. So if we have a sticky beak, we'll pull it up here. Bop, bop. There we go. This here is the GPF website. As always, every piece of information I provide to you is publicly accessible, so that you at home can find it and have a look. I always make sure my resources are public. And that way, it's all true. It's all there. So this here's the GPF. that is the body that Australia and New Zealand fall under. We, ironically, fall under the Oceania pickleball space. And long story short, these two international bodies are probably the two biggest in the space. And I wouldn't say that they've been, I don't know what the space is regarding, by the way, shout out to the African pickleball scene, is booming at the moment. But long story short, the two international bodies are still, I'll use the term vying for control. I'm not too sure. But the fact that they're willing to come together and have a discussion is very, very positive. So if we have a look at the GPF, they've obviously got their news articles here, and they offer a bunch of various things regarding coming together to form under the GPF what is beneficial for you as a national body coming under an international body. Still find this hilarious that Tom and Ashvin are our local models for the international pickleball scene. Good to see the boys there repping Australia and every other country. So I thought that was quite hilarious seeing those fellas there. But pretty much you can see here, these guys are on a they're looking at a continent level when it comes to pickleball. There's Oceania there. And just hovering over that, you can see some of the local areas that fall under our, not jurisdiction, but I guess we come under this. So Australia, New Zealand, Micronesia, Fiji, and then it just continues. There's a bunch of places there. Really cool to see, by the way, Samoa, Tonga, and NZ, including in that, as well as PNG. I've had the pleasure of commentating on a bunch of Samoan and Tongan players in the last 2 or 3 years, and they are quickly becoming powerhouse countries for pickleball. They are producing high-level talent, and it would not surprise me if we see more Samoan, Tongan, and obviously New Zealand has had a lot of pro representation, but those other two countries, seeing a lot more of their players getting into the pro space. They can hit the ball so ridiculously hard. It's terrifying and it's exciting. I want these countries to have pickleball pros and representation on the international scale. So that's really exciting. But if we scroll back up, I'll give you guys a little bit of a look at the WPF as well. This is their website. Good to see that nothing's popping up. There we go. So the WPF is the same boat in that they are. So we're under the GPF. However, these guys have a lot of countries under them as well. So you kind of get the idea that there's a wide variety of. This is the control I'm talking about in that who is going to be able to facilitate at an international level. Now, for the World Pickleball Federation, they recently made not recently, but their last big announcement was the IPF and the WPF came together to form the UWPF, so the Unified World Pickleball Federation. Now it's the UWPF and the GPF that are coming together to have a chat. Now, you can see here they've got a bunch of countries swiping past. I'll leave that up while I have a little bit of a chat. And you get an idea that these two are the big fish, I suppose you could say, in the international scene. Definitely, if we ever want, Olympic level status or a unified international body, these two major groups coming together is just so big. So big. So we can pop over to the GPF as that is specifically relevant to us, but I did just want to bring up the UWPF so that you at home can get an understanding of how big this news is, each group coming together. So if we pop over here, once again, all of this is available on their website. We can see the announcement from the GPF. So I'm going to scroll in here so that you at home can get a proper read. There we go. So no doubt my big head is in the way, so we're just going to go full screen here. There we go. Get out of the way, Dylan. So the GPF and UWPF announced joint initiative to establish a single international governing body for pickleball. At the time of recording, it's the 19th of 11th. This was dropped on November 17th, so 2 days ago. This is very fresh news, which is why I'm releasing this episode now. So in a landmark decision set to reshape the future of the sport, the board of directors from the GPF and the UWPF jointly announce a formal commitment to collaborate and establish a single governing entity dedicated to the governance and global expansion of pickleball. This move comes in response to the rapid worldwide growth of pickleball and the clear need for a unified structure to guide its development. The entity will establish as a fully democratic and inclusive body designed to be fully compliant with the standards of the International Olympic Committee. Big. So they're going straight to the IOC. This strategic alignment is a critical step towards providing certainty for national and continental federations, while also helping secure pickleball's place in major multi-sport competitions, things like the Olympics. We are seeing several World Cups pop up as well. I do know the PPA have sort of a World Cup event, as well as obviously we had recently the Pickleball World Cup, in which Australia and New Zealand both sent represented sides. Well done to all of our players that were competing in that. So to translate this shared vision into reality, the boards have acted decisively by establishing a joint task force comprising representatives from both federations appointed by each board respectively and entrusted with a critical mandate to manage all aspects of the negotiation and integration process. Its primary objectives are to facilitate a smooth and efficient transition, ensuring the process is collaborative, embracing the value of both organizations, and managing negotiation for the development of a governing entity with clear priorities and representing the highest possible standards of international sports governance. The task force has already commenced its work, holding its inaugural meeting on November 8th, 2025, which was Central European time. The meeting was attended by representatives from both federations, including the Unification Committee from the UWPF, and there's all the people that were listed from their board, and members of the GPF board, consisting of people from the GPF, including Jen Ramamurphy, who is the president of Pickleball Australia, but also she is the GPF Secretary General. Probably a lot of people in the Australian pickleball scene may not have been aware of that, just how important she is on the international space. The creation of a single international federation promises immense benefits for the entire pickleball community. This consolidation is expected to accelerate the sport's development, foster greater investment, and create a cohesive and sustainable pathway for pickleball's future on the world stage. And there you can see the joint signatures of the Secretary General and the Secretary from both GPF and UWPF. Very exciting news, very straight to the point discussion here. So we can see immediately with this particular picture here went all over socials, where these two particular groups obviously they've started just essentially a big discussion, I guess, a joint initiative to try and create a single international governing body, which should go ahead, absolutely groundbreaking for us here in Australia and New Zealand. Now, speaking of the Kiwis, so I did reach out to Jen Ramamurphy, of course, from Australian Pickleball, who got back to me really quickly. But she effectively, I asked her for a statement, but this here is more or less from her anyway. So she was just like, look, we'll just use that. So that was all good. But I have reached out to the New Zealand pickleball scene as well. So if I plonk this up here, there we go. So this here is via the wonderful Ange Brady, who is on the New Zealand pickleball scene, and she has given her own little statement on it all as well, which is obviously super exciting. I'll just get it up here on my computer so I can read along with you at home. There we go. Okay. So straight off the bat, all the Kiwis are going to give me cheek about this because I butcher the pronunciation of this. You know, it's funny, viewers. I did the New Zealand Open this year, and I had so many amazing New Zealanders jump in the booth with me, and they were absolutely giving it to me on the way I pronounced New Zealand words. But Kiwis, I'm trying, all right? Trying my best to get your words right. So Mandy is going to give me so much stick for mucking this up, but kia ora, Dylan. There we go, Mandy. You can let me know if I messed that up. Pickleball New Zealand Association welcomes the announcement from the Global Pickleball Federation, the GPF, and the United World Pickleball Federation regarding their formal commitment to work towards a single unified international governing body for our sport. So once again, this is from the New Zealand pickleball space. This is a significant and positive step for the global pickleball community. As the sport continues its rapid expansion worldwide, the need for clarity, cohesion, and consistency in international governance has become increasingly clear. A single, democratic, inclusive, IOC-compliant federation offers the best opportunities to support long-term growth, deliver transparency, and strengthen pickleball's prospects for inclusion in future multi-step events. Has Ange just sent me what Jen just said? Ange, naughty. No, she hasn't, because this here is the next paragraph isn't that. PNZA is encouraged by the decisive action shown by both organisations, including the formation of a joint task force to oversee the transition progress. We acknowledge the representatives appointed to this group and look forward to understanding how national federations will be engaged as this work progresses. Ensuring that all regions and member nations have a voice will be essential to building a federation that reflects the diversity and ambition of our global community. As the governing body for pickleball in New Zealand, PNZA is committed to supporting a unification process that upholds the highest standards of governance and provides certainty for our athletes, coaches, officials, clubs, and partners. We remain focused on advocating for a structure that is fair, future-focused, and aligned with best practice international sporting principles. We congratulate the GPF and UWPF on taking this important step and look forward to constructive engagement as the pathway toward a single international federation continues to unfold. And that there is via Ange Brady, the Pickleball New Zealand Association board chairperson, and as well as board secretary and member for Hawke's Bay. So thank you very much, Ange. Also, tournament director for the New Zealand Open. Absolutely phenomenal event. I am so happy to be going multiple times to New Zealand next year to commentate for you all. Straight off the bat, I will be doing the Wellington Pickleball Cup early next year. It's going to be incredible. Looking forward to it. But obviously, with all my news, I try and keep the Kiwis involved as well. So awesome to hear a statement there from the New Zealand pickleball scene. Now, if I pop over here, why else is this important for us here in Australia? Well, there we go. That's my big head. You don't need to see that. There we go. It's important because, and I keep bringing this up, NSO. Not only do we get the benefits of having an international body, you do have the benefits of obviously, you know, the Olympics and having all the international representation and all of that jazz, but also it's really important for us in Australia here for the national sporting organisations recognition. Okay, so this is obviously one of the big parts of NSO. Now, you'll notice here what I have on your screen, viewers, once again, all public information. This here is via the ASC, so essentially the group that decides national sporting organisations around the country. Part of their recognition criteria is via international recognition. So if I zoom in again so you at home can see what I'm waffling on about, there we go. So criteria 2 for international recognition. By the way, this is huge for us. I believe April 30th is D-Day, in that because the government effectively, a lot of their funding, etc., their due dates are April 30th in 2026. So I imagine if there is a decision regarding the NSO, it will be made clear by then. However, there is definitely an opportunity, or a chance rather, and it says it specifically in this document via the ASC, there's a chance that either PA or TA won't get it, and we'll just go to how we currently are, and we just go through the process again next year. So the organisation, so whoever's going for NSO, is recognised as the preeminent organisation for the sport in Australia by an international federation that is a member of the Alliance of Independent Recognised Members of Sport. Now, no doubt, should an international body be formed, this particular body would go to come under AIMS. It can also fall under the Association of Summer Olympics international federations, which obviously we already talked about, the IOC, Association of the International Olympic Winter Federations, don't know if we'd consider pickleball an Olympic sport, and Association of IOC recognised sporting federations, or the International Paralympic Committee. Now, big news coming from the para side of things. I'm going to probably draw up an entire video just dedicated to para, but it's fair to say from the international side of things, para pickleball is definitely starting to take root as well. I'm obviously one of the biggest advocates for para pickleball in Australia. I do everything I can to commentate on our para, our wheelchair, cognitive, our blind players, or our hybrid events. I do everything I can to cover all of these able-bodied, non-able-bodied players here in the Australian pickleball scene. So I love to see that potentially the international para pickleball space is also picking up. Note, where there is no international federation for the sport, the ASC may, in its discretion, consider waiving the requirement to comply with this criteria. Now, obviously that's, big for both of the national bodies going for it. But however, if there is an international body in line, then it would be considerably more helpful for whichever body's going for it, in this instance, Pickleball Australia. Where there are two or more international federations for a sport, the ASC may, in its discretion, assess which international federation is the most appropriate to be considered by the ASC for the purposes of the criteria. Now, literally what's happening for us, obviously, if they both come together, big. And there's all the bits and bobs relevant to, effectively, the international body needs to confirm that Pickleball Australia is under it, which we are part of the GPF, but should the GPF and the UWPF come together and name something else, this would all be relevant. So pretty big news, viewers, in more than ways than one. Obviously, from an international scale, is gigantic. Great to see the potential forming of an international body. There will no doubt be announcements regarding this. But if there isn't, and on top of that, it's also beneficial for the Australian pickleball scene in regards to just purely where it sits as a national body. So very big news there, viewers. Just a quick little video here. Keep you up to date with the international pickleball scene. As I mentioned, please follow the GPF on social so you at home can keep up to date with the international pickleball scene, as well as my socials, as I mentioned. If you did enjoy this video, please like, share, subscribe. We have a bunch more news coming your way. I've already got videos already made, ready to go for next week. But just because this particular episode, this news was dropped just this week, thought I better rush this out and get it out for you at all. So very much look forward to seeing you in the next episode or on the court soon, as I have a bunch of tournaments coming up that I will be commentating. Thank you very much. We look forward to seeing you on the next one.